weren't very smart. You should have brought the tequila.
I should have. El Bandito Yankee Tequila, thank you.
We gotta, okay, first of all, let's do introductions. Nick Lowery in the house. Okay, first off, you gotta show that ring. Show that ring. Yeah. Loud and proud, show that ring. That is like such an honor. Because it's incredible. Did you watch the roast? I'm sure you watched the roast of
Tom Brady.
You know, it's sad when people, you know, have to be so incredibly disgusting to be funny. You know, and then, you dared to laugh, and he had a lot of guts to do it, but I guess he said he got paid $25 million, so.
Oh, what?
Yes, he got paid $25 million.
Well, we can roast me, and I'll do it for a mill. No, but, you know, it was interesting seeing, because I really don't, sorry, I'm not a huge football fan. Don't hurt me. But who was the player? Who was the player that was on there that was the best? What was he, a quarterback or whatever, that never got a ring? No, he was a
Bledsoe. Drew Bledsoe.
Drew Bledsoe was the one that was starting when he got injured, and
yes.
Tom Brady came in.
But there was the other guy too. I don't think, maybe he was a wide receiver. Don't ask me. I'm not a football fan, but he was there. He
played for the Patriots 2 years.
One of the best players.
Randy Moss.
Randy Moss. Yeah,
Randy Moss.
It.
Never got a ring.
Yeah.
By the way, football is 4 times more popular than the NBA and Major League Baseball.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
if I were to pick,
listen,
if I were to pick a favorite sport, it would be that. I just wasn't. I wasn't really raised with it. My dad.
Okay, you can learn. It's all about learning. Michael, right here, he's a learner, lifelong learner.
That's true.
Right.
No,
Curious.
it's true. No, you're right about that. You're right. My dad was not into sports at all. From the Bronx, like he just.
From the Bronx. Well, yeah, why? Because you know you just want to make sure somebody's not going to chop off at the knees or make you an offer you can't refuse.
Right.
You know.
Yeah.
So you got to be careful in the Bronx.
Yeah, you were right.
You got less free time.
He was
watching
busy
your backside.
Anyways, all right. So, I mean, were you just a born? We got to start with this. Were you just a born natural athlete from the get-go?
No sport was ever easy for me, but I did play 4 sports in high school. I was a college pitcher as well, and so yes, but my message was always loving the work, because it took me a lot of work to make it in the NFL. I was rejected by 8 teams 11 times, and that relentlessness to always get better. The Michael Banovec history of always working to get better.
That's
you know,
right.
Not only is he's not just another pretty face.
That's right.
Yeah. What?
We're 2 pretty faces. 3.
Well,
here,
I think that's how Michael and I actually really became friends. Is that we're both very much that way. Is it wasn't just handed to us. We're those people that really had to work to get it.
And you know what? These are maybe cliches, but you appreciate it 10 times more. You don't take it for granted.
And Tom Brady wasn't easy. He wasn't a natural either.
No, and what he did was, like Michael Jordan, he was always good at creating. Where there wasn't one, he'd even create a chip on his shoulder, right? To always feel like he wasn't, you know, a 6th-round draft pick. Damn it, I'm going to show them. And Michael Jordan would pick fights with people that really hadn't said anything bad about him, but he'd find a way to make it something where he always had to prove something, and he always played at his best when he did that.
That's awesome. So you played for 16 years.
18.
18. Yeah, no, we can't cut that off. 18 years, which is incredible.
Well, thank you.
Are you paying for that now?
I glow from outer space. I've got 2 replaced shoulders from doing, never, ladies and gentlemen, do behind the neck lifting with any kind of serious weight. It's the fastest way to destroy your shoulders.
But that's what they told me.
And how is that going to help me kick? Anyway.
Right. Well, that's funny. Okay, so now they call it, when you're doing movement, they call it...
it works now, though.
God, my brain does not work today. You want to do movements that you actually do in regular life. So they're like, would you go into your pantry closet, right, and grab the flour off the back shelf like this, or do you turn around
Would
and
you
grab
tackle
like
somebody
this?
like that?
Right. So that's what they always talk. Functional movement is what it's called. Functional movement.
Yes.
Right. So you think about how does the body move?
Yep.
How would you use your body? That's how you want to train.
Yes.
And we would never do anything back. You never do anything back here. What would you be doing back here?
I know. I've got 5 joint replacements. Did my hip in October. This one 14 years ago, it's called a hemi knee replacement. My left ankle 12 years ago.
You're looking good.
But they all went great, so I'm so incredibly blessed. And that is, I do have a lot of bones to pick with the modern health system, but not with the surgeons, not with the capacity to do amazing things in extreme circumstances. It's the regular circumstances that sometimes it's just pretty frustrating, unfortunately, for a lot of people.
Yeah, for instance.
For instance,
like what?
Well, I think we have an interesting pharmaceutical and insurance, shall we say, stalemate, where the medical staff and patients are always fighting each other rather than one looking after the other. The patient's already stressed as it is, and then medical staff have what we call empathy fatigue. So how do we reorient it towards about healing? You can't heal if it's a stressful environment.
Isn't that the truth? That's a really good point.
So, and then drugs.
Yeah, what's your take on that? Because you've had so many surgeries.
Right.
So what have you, did you use painkillers? Because there are, a guy that graduated from high school with me, he went on to play professionally, got hooked, had an injury, got hooked on pain medication and died.
Opioids kill 100,000 people a year minimum, probably more like 150. Fentanyl kills another 100,000. So that translates to about 600 people per day, which is about 40 times more than the average men and women killed in the Vietnam War. Wow. And so my thing is, hey, I'd take opioids 1 or 2, 3 days afterwards,
and that's
but that was it. And just knowing how bad it is, but
do you think it was because
they do play a role for that short period of time. But if you depend on anything external,
but is it? Would you say it's because you're so disciplined that you? I know for myself, I'm like you. Like, okay, to get over the hump, 2 to 3 days. But I'm so disciplined in everything I do. I'm like, okay, that's done. Moving on.
Discipline's important. I'm not disciplined with dessert.
No.
I know it's not good for me, but I still eat it.
Yeah, but it's not going to kill you either.
It may be a little bit slower pathway, but I think that's part of it. I think it's also just living a life where you know that anything of value is going to be through discipline and hard work and loving the work and doing the things you love.
But so many athletes, they are clearly to be a real athlete, you have to have some serious discipline, and so many disciplined athletes are taken down by these drugs. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that they get hooked. So where is that?
Well, they have somebody. Especially now that salaries are 10 times what they were when I was the highest paid kicker for 12 years in the NFL, but the salaries are literally 10 times more than they were then. Yeah. And so even now,
you have somebody watching.
They have more people, not only this training staff, but the doctors being a little bit more attentive for that reason.
It's hard.
But once you leave the game, that internal discipline has to take over. And the great players, Steve Largents of the world, Ronnie Lott's of the world, Marcus Allen's of the world, Derek Thomas's, Patrick Mahomes, they have an internal motor. And I think you guys have that. You guys are always working to get better. And even though we've been joking about it, I think it's loving your life and seeing your life as a gift and doing the most with it.
Well said.
So, I'm so heavy today, so serious.
You're never serious. Okay, we started off with tequila. Because you have a tequila line.
Well, I have a partial, small percentage in it. It's called El Bandito Yankee Tequila. It's won the double blind tasting awards, which we know from whether it's Naomi, which is my favorite, the best priced, I will say.
I know, right?
Very good wine.
I bring it every week.
But El Bandito's won the Platinum Award from TAG and the Gold Award from Proof Magazine. We were on the cover of Proof Magazine.
So who created it? Where did it start?
It was created by Jim Bob Morris from Newton, Kansas.
Come on.
My teammate.
Oh, really?
Yeah, my teammate.
His name's Jim Bob?
He dated my first girlfriend in the NFL, who I'd broken with a year earlier, and then married her, and then he divorced her 2 years later, so we high-fived each other. We both escaped something worse. But
hold on, time out. Today, I sent it to my brother because I was laughing. I went, the W Hotel, don't lose where you're at. The W Hotel has brought in a simulator golf thing and also hunting. You can go hunting and golfing. Thank you. In this simulator.
Well, that's mine.
Oh. Here we go.
So I was shooting. Cheers. I was shooting, and I said, could we on the simulator? Could we maybe put a face like my ex-husband to practice? But I know. And my brother goes, don't ever say that. Here it is. I'm saying it out loud. I would never shoot him. I'm just being funny because I think that's really funny. But I proved anyways it doesn't matter because my shot is terrible. So
there you go.
It doesn't matter. If I get mad at you and I want to shoot you, you're free to go. It'll never hit you.
Alrighty. Well, it's called.
And if you give me tequila, the clothes will come off. The song says so.
Yeah, baby. El Bandito Yankee Tequila, you can get it at Gomer's, and Jim Bob Morris, who played a couple years with the Green Bay Packers, and we have a suite at Arrowhead Stadium. Oh, wow. I've taken Scott Passmore, our buddy from Good Morning Arizona, there for a few games when we won the AFC Championship.
He's been around forever.
And we have a suite at Lambeau Field where the Green Bay Packers played. Historic Lambeau Field. But it's really good tequila. It doesn't have any of the sweeteners and the glycerin and the vanilla and the additives that 80% of American tequilas have.
So only in the suites? What, grocery stores?
Grocery stores, yes. I mean, I get it when I go to Pomo Pizzeria in Gainey Ranch.
That's
it's one of my favorite places. They have it there, and it's it's growing. We're selling 50,000 cases a year now.
That's incredible.
And we're growing slowly but very surely.
God, tequila's become such a big thing.
It's hot.
Really, yeah.
Really hot.
Well, it's actually somewhat healthy, or at least not unhealthy, because it doesn't have the sugars,
Right.
and so you don't tend to have the.
I was just in Tequila, Mexico.
If it's good tequila, you don't tend to have the.
Where do they
Yeah.
make it in tequila?
Jalisco.
Well, I know in Jalisco. It has to be in Jalisco to be
Right.
called tequila, but like where in Jalisco? Do you know?
Well, it's Senora Rojo, and
okay.
I'm not going to divulge the exact location.
Yes, okay.
But she is the #1 female distiller we found on the planet, and it's all Blue Weber agave, cooked in copper pots
Wow.
for 24 hours, and then it's oxygenated.
But I want to know
It's
what
really
makes,
good.
what makes one tequila different from another tequila? I mean, obviously having, sugars and whatever, but
Well, what makes a great tequila is quality Blue Weber agave, the old style way, so that all the qualities are brought out. Obviously, like a good wine, great nutritional soil, right? Being able to harvest it at the right time, and then the purity of the process where you oxygenate it and you don't add anything because
Right.
it doesn't need it. So
Do you have all the
Yeah.
variants too, like Blanco, Anejo, Reposado?
we do.
all
Our
that
Anejo
stuff?
just came out about 2 months ago, and
wow.
it's awesome. And then the
see, we should have done a tequila tasting.
Nah.
I know. The,
Oh,
next
yeah.
time, the Reposado is in 3 months in bourbon-soaked American bourbon barrels,
Yeah,
and it's really good.
that's
The
great.
Blanco is like just give you this little warm.
I love
feeling.
Blanco.
Do the
And it
shots.
makes the clothes come off. Okay, so this is my question for you. So many athletes, when they retire, it's like, what do they do now? It's just, I think, why Tom Brady has had such a hard time retiring, because it's like, now what? But you have not stopped.
I never will.
So how did you transition out of playing into all the other things that you do now?
I never transitioned. I was a legislative aide in the United States Senate for Senator Bob Packwood of Oregon.
So what got
Working
you
on
into
aviation,
politics?
working on aviation deregulation and aviation safety, and gave that up to try one last time to make it in the NFL. Then I worked for Richard Bowling, who was chairman of the House Rules Committee in the off-season, February, March, April, May.
Wow.
Then I'd go back, and I'd be training, but I'd go back full-time the 6 weeks before training camp.
So you
And-
never put all your eggs in the football basket?
No, and I went back to Harvard when I finished, and to the Kennedy School, and studied Native American law and leadership
Wow.
principles and
Why
conflict
Native American
resolution.
law? What was the draw?
I'd started
As
something
you
called,
do have all your checklists on. Look at all
yeah,
this, yeah.
I'd started something called Native Vision with Johns Hopkins Center for American Indian Health, and I got the NFL Players Association involved in Chinle, New Mexico, up there in the Four Corners, and it grew from a football camp with 10 tribes and 90 kids to every year now 40 tribes, 700 kids.
What was the motivation? What was the motivation of
Because
that?
it needs to be done.
How
Because
did you
Native American
see
history,
that though? I agree, but how did you see that?
It's obvious to me. I don't know how else to put it. You see something that's right there.
How did you get introduced to it?
Well, my best friend from Dartmouth, his wife at their wedding, I'd been the best man. She had just started Johns Hopkins as the director of Johns Hopkins Center for American Indian Health.
Oh.
Allison Barlow, and she said, "Would you start a football camp? Because we've got to find a different way to connect to American Indians that shows respect for them as people, not just as being interviewed,
Here's a check.
poked and
Yeah,
prodded
yeah.
and researched as sort of cattle."
Yeah.
And that started. We were on Oprah 2 years later as the best new program, mentoring sports program.
And you just felt it though. You just went. You felt it. You saw how
Absolutely.
special. Yeah, I can
And
see that.
in a way, the work I do now, called Champions for the Homeless, you can argue that besides the genocide itself in history that's been overwritten, but people are trying to tell the story a little bit more honestly, all the broken treaties, virtually every treaty, that the Native American tribes have been homeless in the sense that they were taken from their ancestral
Yeah.
land, the Trail of Tears, all of the possession of lands and moving them to, usually barren lands, although some of them have found that they had a
Yeah,
lot of
casinos.
minerals.
Well, did you watch the movie, the Flower?
Yes.
Flower Moon.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's like horrifying,
How-
and
how-
that's true.
How pretty much the white people just showing the most evil of intent and the most non-transparent strategies, just marry in within their families and then kill them.
Yeah.
Just the worst kind of stories imaginable. So, to me, history, let's just heal the wounds of history, but keep moving on, always moving on to something better. And I will say, right here in Phoenix, we have United National Indian Tribal Youth, led by Mary Kim Titla, who was a reporter for 20 years at NBC 12, and she's done a great job. And they were recognized by the Obama administration as the best national program, 136 youth councils in 36 states, something like that. But thousands of kids that are much more confident, much more comfortable in public speaking and leadership roles. So I think they've made a real positive contribution to the next generation.
When my son graduated from college from ASU this year, a month ago, like 2 weeks ago, they did a whole tribute to the Native Americans. They did a huge tribute and all that they have brought to Arizona and to our land here and everything else. It was nice.
That's great. Awesome.
Yeah. Awareness, right?
Awareness, education, and just, diversity should be that everybody's important. That's all. Everybody's important. Everybody has God-given abilities that are unique. And when we treat people that way, it's amazing what good things happen.
Okay, so you were working all the way along, then you fell into football, but kept doing everything you were doing. So you had something else going. It's never been just football.
Yeah, I think that's keeping your mind curious and creative is another big part of it. Staying creative also, I think, helps your spiritual journey as well. Getting over the culture of sports, which tends to be very narcissistic, as our culture is today more than ever with social media, and just continuing to say, hey, how can I grow spiritually and how can I do something with these gifts? And I just love being able to bring people together in different ways. Champions for the Homeless is incredible. I just the volunteers are spectacular, but the staff at St. Vincent de Paul.
Yeah, describe what you do for Champions of the Homeless.
Well, they have a room at the 10th Avenue and Jackson location, which is about 200 feet by about 150 feet. They have a railing all the way around the outside, and they have basketball courts on the outside. What we do is we greet them with 1,000 flowers. They funnel in through behind there, and we have 15 NFL players wearing their jerseys. Some of them a little tighter than they used to be. But people, everybody, just truly, the most important thing we say is, besides the fact that we're giving away 1,000 T-shirts, 1,000 pairs of underwear, 1,000 socks, which are really important.
Oh my God! Yeah, those are the things that people forget. The most minuscule, easy things that we don't even bat our eyelashes about. They are grateful for.
And just say those physical things and the great food, and we have amazing music. My friend Cici Ya and Richard Carvajal and JJ Garcia and Paris James, all these great local musicians who've been part of it. And the music is really about a music of the soul that you have. When you have 300 volunteers, every one of them saying, you're just as important or more than I am, that there's no difference between the giver and the receiver. That is such a blessing for the people that come from Scottsdale, $2 million house, and suddenly they're reminded that there but for the grace of God go I. And that's just, how about reminding ourselves of that? Then we appreciate what we do have, and it brings our success.
Did you
full
actually
circle.
start it?
Yes, I did.
How many years has it been?
18 years ago, we've done 67 events on Thanksgiving, Christmas, Easter, and then twice in the summer. The next one will be in late July.
I'm in.
So, and it just, you can find me on Facebook, Nick Lowery, Nick the Kick, and join us. We encourage people to bring a couple $100 of $5 gift certificates to McDonald's. I buy a couple grand of $5 gift certificates to Starbucks, because sometimes when you're homeless, that's a little way to spoil yourself. And then we give away $5 gift certificates to everybody when they come in. Then we have donated clothing. We have 2 chiropractors and acupuncturists, Dr. Ben Manulis, and we have hair cutters.
Really?
But the idea is that everybody feels like we're looking constantly for how can we make you feel special.
They must look forward to your events.
I hope so. I think so.
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine.
But it just, when you drive home on a Thanksgiving and Christmas,
I feel great.
afterwards it feels the way Thanksgiving and Christmas should feel.
Yeah, well, especially in Scottsdale, we become so kind of almost immune to the whole thing. It's almost like a chore. I hate to say that, but I know a lot of people really get down on Christmas and feel like it's all about, like, my kid wants this and he wants that, and how do I afford this?
No, I was a jerk, and I remember when I was in Germany, my dad was very senior CIA in Germany in 1969, 68, and he gave me a bicycle.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, great. What else?
What else?
Yeah.
You know, that insatiable need for,
More.
for being given rather than what I'm really craving, that feeling.
Yeah.
And I hadn't learned that yet, and most kids
Do
haven't
you think
learned
that's
that
a Scottsdale problem too? Do you find that in Scottsdale that people are so about showing what they have and not even really appreciating that they have it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know. I have the new biggest house. I have the new best car. I have the new
I'm
most
16
expensive
and Dad
purse.
just gave me a Bentley convertible. Where do you go from there, by the way,
I
when
know.
you're 16?
Trust me, we have.
Up. No, I'm just kidding.
I-
Usually down.
Yeah, my kids, I'm not going to say my kids weren't spoiled, but I will say that my kids all worked, all had expectations. They all got, they weren't just given.
Yeah, and I think being grateful for what you have is great, and celebrating it. We have the same car. We both have BMW X6s. By the way, I got mine from Certified Benz and Beamer. They do great jobs, and I love mine. You have an X6 too, so it's
Yeah.
not like I don't
Great mind.
celebrate
Great minds think alike.
life and
Well,
have
no,
fun.
of course,
but
no.
it's balance. It's always about
Yeah.
balance, and some would call it God's favor when you are being intentional about using your gifts to help other people find theirs.
Yeah.
And I
Well,
hope that isn't a
it doesn't
cliche.
mean. Well, it doesn't mean you have to punish yourself and not have nice things because other people don't have nice things. That's right. That's not what you're saying. But also, it's not about being narcissistic. If it's all about me.
Well, you remember in the movie Wall Street when Charlie Sheen goes, "How many yachts do you need to have?" Right? We've gone into this era of uber greed where I've got 17
Well,
yachts
that's the
and
interesting-
four jets, but I need a fifth one, and I'm going to screw over this guy next to me just to make sure, even though I know it's going to ruin his life, so I get more, even though I already have more than I ever could need.
Well, thank you. Michael
Right.
and I are in real estate, right? And so this is my weekly thing is we go on these tours, and my partner Robert and I, we go through these houses, and they're $10-30 million.
This guy's a great real estate man.
Yeah.
I know all about him.
And
Thank you.
I leave he is for sure. And I leave these houses, and we see Michael on the tour too, so we'll talk to him and be like, "What did you think about that?" But I leave these houses, and the funny thing is the person that owns that 10, 20, $30 million, it's not their only home. They have 5 other homes
Yeah.
that are that expensive. And
Yeah.
I'm thinking to myself, first of all, they're like hotels. Like, if I had that much money, what would you do with it?
Yeah.
Where'd my dog go?
Yeah.
Like, where's my husband? Like, full wings. You get that wing to do your hair and makeup. You get that wing to take a shower. Like, you would never
I've got a
see
closet
each
the
other.
size of the Suns basketball court.
Sure. And I think, gosh, if I had all that money, I would want to take a $20 million house worth and help people.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't.
But we can't control other people, but we can control ourselves. And I'll make a segue, which is when we think about what are we doing all this for? What's all this? Why do we put ourselves through what we put ourselves through? Sometimes not intentionally, just
Right.
life happens. And I'm working with Alzheimer's treatment centers, and we're opening up our first Florida location. We'll be here in a couple of years. We'll have 100 in the country in 3 years. And the biggest fear for people is not death. It's dying with no dignity, dying with no memory, dying with no self
I
remaining,
can't think
And
of
being
anything
alone.
worse.
and dying alone
Yeah.
even when you're not alone.
Right.
Okay, so how did you get involved in Alzheimer's?
A friend, Doug Collins from here, now lives in Atlanta, said, "We're doing this. I'd love you to be part of this." And I love it. I've done a lot of work with Lee Steinberg on CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is the concussion-based syndrome. I've had Barrow and Banner and Mayo and Children's Hospital people. We
And
had
they're connecting that to Alzheimer's.
on concussions,
Yeah.
right? So Alzheimer's, the tau protein, which is these little sort of foxholes in the brain that develop over a long time based on lots of little hits. But we all are facing, most of us are going to face some form of dementia. And I don't know about
I
you,
already
but-
am.
Yeah, I'll be walking. First of all, I'll go, how many times a day do you go, where the hell is my phone?
You know what? I got the cure to that.
You've got a finder?
Yes! I'm like, "Siri, find my..." I'm going to do it right now. Yeah, and it'll find my phone.
Right. Well, yeah, but that you still
That- I'm-
forgot.
Yeah, of course. but I don't have to worry about finding
That's
it.
one less thing.
No, I'm serious. That's why I wear this.
But if you're interested in learning more about it, because there's so many people My brother Chris died 3 years ago from
Gosh,
Alzheimer's.
it's been 3 years.
And it's 3 years on June 1st, and pretty crushing. And he had very, very long, high, unattended blood pressure, which created TIAs in his brain. And he had some mild Asperger's, so he lived on his own and just didn't take care of himself. But everybody has their unique pathway, and it's so personal to me. My mother had dementia, and she still had her grace. She was an Oxford-educated British lady. She said, "I'm sorry, my dear, but I'm a bit gaga today. Tell me, what's your plans?" And then about 5 minutes later, she goes, "I'm still a bit gaga. Can you tell me again?" So if you're interested, just go to atca.health.
And we'll post all this after
And
too, so
it's going to help change the paradigm of aging away from the fear of losing yourself and your family losing you as well.
Yeah, it's awful. I can't think of a worse way to go.
Dying with dignity, dying with our memories is what we take with us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the house you don't get to take with you.
No.
No.
Or the Ferrari, or the X6.
Or the
Well, I
X6.
could put it in my grave. It's going to be a big tomb with my car on top.
Just like the Pharaoh. The Pharaohs did that.
Michael and his watches. Michael and his Ferrari and his watches.
Michael, we'll have you embalmed, and you'll look great 10,000
going
years
to.
from now. And
We're
with a
actually-
smile, with a smile on your face.
We're actually going to put him at the entrance of your Alzheimer's building.
Yes.
He can be the greeter. He's going to be sitting actually in the Ferrari at the front door. How's that?
With a big smile.
We already have a 75% success rate with stopping further deterioration
gotten better with it.
and really some improvement. So it's only going to get better. There's so many good things, modalities out there, but when you use AI, which is what we do, with precision medicine and doctors that are experts, and with all the nutraceuticals and all the modalities that are available, it's incredible what's happening. It's just being able to afford it. We now can cover at least 60% of the costs as it is. And imagine senior homes where, in addition to the $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 you're paying a month for your loved one, that's included as that kind of treatment.
That's awesome.
That's incredible.
No.
Well, so what else?
What else?
What else are you doing? Because it seems like you're super, super freaking busy.
You know what? I'm so grateful. I've just been approached to start educating people about the new Napa Valley, which is near Wilcox, southern Arizona.
Yeah, I have not
Aridus
been down
wines.
there, but I've heard it's
We've got
incredible.
21,000 acres, and we're selling off 200
is it
acres
like a bougie
of vineyards.
place to go? Like, can you go take a tour?
It's early bougie,
It's
but the
early
wine
bougie.
is unbelievable. They're rated 94. I had the
So is it like a day?
Aridus.
Is it kind of just a day trip?
I think it's a day trip now, and in 2 years it'll be, overnight trip. Yeah, but we have planes for those that are interested in checking it out. We have an 8-seater Pilatus to take down and go there for the day, and
Yeah, no thanks.
I'll be going down there on Tuesday, and we're in the mountains at 4,500 and 5,500 feet on the largest aquifer
Who's
in all
flying
of
this
Southwest.
plane?
No one.
What? Somebody's flying it.
Yes, we have a pilot.
Who owns the plane?
I don't know that. It's part of our
Okay.
company resources, but I'm working with a guy from Kansas City named Tom Hessian.
Okay.
And
You are literally like the most connected person like ever.
I don't know about that, but hopefully it's connected to good people. So that's part of the aging thing, is getting better at working with good people doing things you love.
Okay, so at this time in your life, what would be your, because you've obviously, as a star athlete, you get all the attention and, could be negative attention. You've got the money, you've got the flash, the rings. Coming to this part of your life now, like, what would you say to people? What have you learned? What is the wisdom behind everything that you've been through?
Well, my friend Jim Bob Morris, I'm just going to get a
Jim
little
Bob,
personal.
I love Jim Bob.
Jim Bob from Newton, Kansas, who started El Bandito, his ex-wife's grandson drowned at the age of 2 days ago.
Oh, God.
And I bring that up because all of us have reminders, major signposts that say life is short, do what you love with the people you love. So it's just more and more clear to affirm that. And obviously, I'm just going to say, I met Bobby Kennedy 3 weeks ago. His father was best friends with my next door neighbor growing up, Justice Byron Whizzer White.
What a small
Who
world,
was
right?
Supreme Court Justice for 31 years. He was in their front yard at 6801 Hampshire Road. We were 6803 Hampshire Road in McLean, Virginia. And, I believe he is the spirit of noble purpose and service. The idea that we've got to solve problems, but we've got to come together. We can't just go, it's a zero-sum game, and one side's going to win and one's going to lose, because we'll both lose then.
All right. We know your life is not perfect.
No,
I
it's
mean,
not.
mine is, but
Nobody's
nobody's
life is
right. Nobody's life is
Nobody's.
perfect. So where would you say you should have done, could have done better? Is there one thing that you're like, I really fucked that up?
Well, I would say I'm very happily single, but it's hard. When I played in the NFL, I had a chance to get married several times.
Have you never been married?
I was engaged 14 years ago, and thank God I didn't get married there. It
You
would have been a
never,
bad one.
you never pulled the trigger.
No, and it's not fun. I mean, let's face it. You get married to somebody. You made your money through sports, and suddenly a woman meets you for 1 year, and she thinks she's owed half of what you earn. I think that's a
Well,
little
she
weird.
totally does.
Now the woman, I will say, if you're Jeff Bezos
kidding.
and your wife was with you before you made it,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
that's
No,
absolutely
no,
legitimate.
I totally
But,
listen. I'm all for a prenup. All for prenups. I agree. You established yourself. You deserve to keep them. Well, first of all, I don't know if it's every state, but in Arizona, whatever you bring into the marriage is yours. Everything after that,
Okay.
you
But I
split.
think Travis Kelce should be with T Swift. What do you think? I know you're a big
Oh
Swiftie
my God! Hold
now.
on. Are you a
He's
Are
a
you a Swiftie
Swiftie.
because of the Chiefs?
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Okay,
let's
hold
give her
on.
credit. John Mayer, Ed Sheeran, and Taylor Swift, 3 incredibly productive.
Yeah.
But of all of them, Taylor Swift, as of 2 weeks ago, had 44 of the 50 top songs on Apple Music.
It's unbelievable.
She's the most dominant. She's more dominant than the
Okay,
Beatles were.
but let me just show you this.
You know,
Hold on.
that famous.
Y'all. I couldn't resist. It says, when you realize Taylor Swift is actually Napoleon Dynamite in drag. I mean, really.
He's a T Swift fan. You can't do that to him.
No, I do like the way she's grown, right? Her
Yeah.
Eras tour is about phases, right?
Yeah.
And I think she's a
I mean, that's
constant
right.
learner and a constant
Yeah, yeah.
grower, and that's the only thing we can do.
Yeah.
So she'll be good for Travis. I wish he'd stop drinking quite so much.
She would?
I wish he would.
Oh, he would stop drinking?
Yes.
Or was he drinking all night? For his game or for...
For everything.
Okay.
But it's I'm sure he's helped her have more fun.
Yeah. Okay, so I think that's important in a relationship where you kind of balance each other out. Okay, so back to, you never pulled the trigger. Was there somebody that you think you let go that you should have?
Well,
not
timing
let
is
go?
part of it.
I agree.
I met a young lady, Amy, in 1989. It was the day that her previous divorce was final,
Oh.
and I think she spent a year trying to prove that she could be independent again.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if we met a year later, that might have been different. But I don't spend my time going, "Gosh, I ruined it." You know, it is what it is. It was the teacher.
It seems like you would have been a really good dad.
I think so.
So do you?
I love kids. I work with kids a lot.
Yeah. So do you miss that you didn't get to have that chance, or do you feel like you get to funnel it into other?
You know, on Father's Day, I'm just waiting for a knock on the door.
I mean, that's a really good point.
Daddy. Or in this case, Daddy.
Yeah, I'm telling you what, like everybody lectures the girl. No, I spent my whole life lecturing my boys going, if you I don't care if they told you they're on birth control, wrap that shit up. I'm like, my son, he calls me, this is a couple years ago, he calls me and in the morning he goes, Mom, I'm really upset. And I go, what? He goes, I had sex last night. It wasn't the first. He's been having sex, right? Like, okay, so, all right, okay. Well, I didn't wear a condom. And I'm like, oh my God, Will. He's like, what if she's pregnant? I go, what if she's pregnant? Or,
That's
no,
what
no,
Plan B's
excuse me.
for.
No, he didn't. Sorry, he didn't say what if she's pregnant. He said, what if I have an STD? And I go, STD, what if she's pregnant? The STD we can fix. The pregnancy we can't fix. If she decides to keep that baby, you're a dad. And you will have that for the rest of your life, right? Like, so he's in California rushing to go get his STD test. And I said, well, I go, did you get her a morning after pill? And he goes, yeah. And I go, did you watch her take it? He goes, no, but she said she did. I'm like,
Oh boy.
You know, but women can, also kind of be responsible too. It takes
well,
two
yes.
to tango.
Of course,
Exactly.
but the guy has to be He has to be responsible for himself because, as I
He better
said, the girl can say, "Oh yeah, I'm on birth
Yes.
control. I didn't take it for 5 days.
Yes.
Did I
Yep.
mention that?"
Yep.
Or,
Yep.
"Oh yeah, honey, I took the morning after pill." No, she didn't, because as you know, as a successful football player, there were a million girls that just wanted to have a baby by you so
Yep.
you could support
Did
her.
you
for the rest.
see that when you were playing in the NFL?
Absolutely.
Jersey changers.
So that's where I say it's-
my teammates, Derek Thomas, when he died, it was so tragic. I was actually with him a week earlier before he died in the hospital at the Bonacani Center in Miami. And he was very optimistic, and then he died. And there were all these appropriately, loving tributes to him because he was one of the greatest players of all time, a great teammate, great spirit. And then finally, after about 2 weeks, somebody said, I'm gonna talk about something, the elephant in the room, which is he's had 7 different children by 7 different mothers. And
did he have a will for all that money?
no, on top of that, he didn't. And in the end,
geez.
he was auctioning off his jock straps, and he'd given I knew his mother. He'd given a house to his mother, etc. But he had not, and I think his representation should have done a better job of that. But he should as well. So, what a tragedy!
Sad. That's a tragedy. But again, every woman is after your sperm. Wrap that shit up.
I did not know that she was going to talk about it.
Wrap that shit up.
Okay.
I mean, kind of though, right? I mean, hey, listen. It's the same lecture I give to my children. You're fine. Wrap that shit up.
Okay, Mom. Okay, Mom.
I mean, you're not dead yet. You can still get married.
Yeah.
That's true.
Have a baby.
There's
And
always
you know what?
tomorrow.
Men can always have a baby.
Well, most.
Yeah, most, yeah.
Right?
Unless you had a vasectomy.
A bisectomy? A vasectomy.
Vasectomy.
Whatever it is.
Bisectomy is
It's a bisectomy,
Michael
a
Banovac.
vasectomy.
It's an Uber race.
It's
of
bi.
It's the best. It's bi.
Michael is not there yet. Clearly,
He's a Viagra.
he still
Yeah,
hasn't.
Viagra.
He still hasn't decided where he's at on that. Right?
Viagra or vasectomy?
Bisectomy. Where you at on Viagra? Have you tried Viagra?
No, I've never tried Viagra. But I actually heard girls can take Viagra.
Well, I guess there was
Have
a
you
guy.
ever taken Viagra?
No, I've never taken Viagra. I don't
No.
need it.
There's a female Viagra.
I don't need it.
I just make this sound and I go, and then everything.
That's the trumpets. That's the rising of the trumpets.
And then it all happens.
It works on command. It's like a dog. We trained it.
Yeah.
But I guess there was a guy who was putting Viagra in women's drinks. I don't know.
Well, it's better than Mickey's, I guess.
I mean, I don't know. I just saw that on the news. I didn't finish. I didn't read it. So dang it. I guess I gotta read up on.
I'm
that.
young, so no ED
Yeah, but
yet.
I know, but it doesn't have to even be that you have ED. It could just be for just to see.
Extra.
Yeah.
Little
You've never
extra.
been curious.
Never.
No.
We got too much testosterone running through our veins already.
Yeah, he has to.
She
If he did
secretly
that, he
read it.
couldn't. Be careful.
She
What?
secretly
If you-
read
if
it.
you're
What am
using-
Austin, what am I missing?
See, I was
She's,
on top of all that.
yeah, the labels in the house. I love that. I don't know what she secretly read it. What did she secretly read? I'm so confused.
Probably that I needed Viagra. Who knows?
I mean, is there shame in that game? Do you know?
No. Hell no. Get it up. Get it going. Get it out. That's what you got to do.
You know what? I honestly think you could sell that, like a button, like the.
It's like the Staples button.
Yeah, like
That
the
was
Staples
easy.
Come into the room.
Okay. Oh, you'll like this, Michael. So I did an open house over the weekend, and in the kitchen they have, they have chalkboard paint.
Yeah.
Okay. So they have the pantry door was chalkboard paint. So the kids, that's cute, right? But then we're showing the house, and as you walk into the master bedroom, above, like it used to be one of those little windows right above the bedroom door, but they put chalkboard paint. So what, like right above the bedroom door as you're walking in, like tonight. Not tonight.
Julie. Tonight. Julie.
Not tonight.
Starring Julie.
Well, how about this? Don't even look at me tonight.
So
Don't
you
wake
put,
me
you
up.
put that on there tonight versus not tonight. They can.
I don't know. It didn't say
10:30
anything.
p.m.
I'm just saying.
Have a headache.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny. So it's like open or
Why
closed.
would you put
basically.
a chalkboard? I'm just saying, like, why would you have a chalkboard
Makes it easier.
above your?
You know
I
what's on
need
the
time
menu.
to myself. I need a little alone time.
Yeah.
Go in the guest room. Guest room tonight.
Should just have an open or close sign. You can just pop the button.
I mean, these are things we can think about. Maybe it's for occupied. Yeah, it's not the toilet. We're talking about the bedroom. I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny, right? I don't know.
Yeah, each their own. I mean, there's secret sex rooms and all kinds of stuff in all these houses.
All right, so here's the question. So today I was at the W for this simulator golf thing, which, by the way, you guys, it's open.
I'm going Friday.
Are you?
Yeah.
To go check it out?
Mm-hmm.
Memorial Day weekend, all the way through Labor Day. You can play, you can shoot, you can simulator golf.
Awesome.
Yeah, at the W Hotel. But, you know, they got to start getting creative because now there's Caesars, there's Global Ambassador. So come on, are you hanging out at those places? What's your
I've
take?
been to Caesars once, and the view is great. It's about a third as big as Global Ambassador.
What do you
Are
think
you a
about
Global Ambassador fan?
Well, it's a classy meat market at one level, but it is really nice. I mean,
Yeah.
it really is a great place to meet. To me, the roof makes it, as does the Caesars roof. But
And it opened at the right time because the weather right now is
and Sam Fox, I mean, he's a genius. So
Do you know
all those
Sam?
things
Are you
good.
friends with him?
I have not met him in
Wow.
person, but everything he does is great.
It turns to gold.
Yeah, and it might actually open up a new era where people actually do things called have conversations, you know, where there's actually an exchange of mental data.
Well, instead of being like this. Well, the interesting thing is that is Global a hotel? Because everybody goes there because it's the place, not because it's a hotel. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
You've got that entryway, then you've got the outside courtyard.
Yeah, you got the lobby
Yeah, it's
bar.
just so
which is
cool. I mean, the
nice.
draw is not the hotel. The draw is the
people.
people. Yeah. So
It's
I
interesting.
think
Sam
it's
Fox does not tend to lose that 6-month shine, but it will be interesting to see how it is a year from now.
I think it's. I don't think it's going to go down. I don't.
I think it's
but
going
but
to always be popular.
But I have
Yeah.
heard that the W is struggling a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, it's just lost its shine because there's so many other great places to go.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you like to do on the weekends, Austin? Didn't Global get trashy the first few weeks with groups of yes? It was amazing, and then everybody heard it was amazing, so then it got trashy. And now, have they cleaned it up?
No.
No.
What do you mean by trashy?
They're the
ladies
party
of the night.
crowd.
Pick
yeah.
a hoe,
Yeah.
as John likes to say.
Ladies of the night, yeah.
Ladies
I heard
of
from
the
somebody that was after about 9 p.m. It tended to get that way a bit more. So
Because it draws in, it's
Strangers
Michael's
of the night.
it's Michael's favorite hangout.
Well, you know me and Ladies of the Night. That's when I was at City Hall. I thought, man, this bar is really a great place.
and
It
they're
was
so interested in
talking.
you. Of course, I have to keep buying them $30 drinks.
And then they
That
say,
is amazing.
and I charge. How do they bring that up that they are actually paid?
Well, the first thing you ask is, what do you do? And they're like, oh, I'm a dancer. And I'm like, a dancer? Like, what do you mean? Like ballet? Or
I mean, I'm a dancer.
Yeah, most likely they're dancing the wrong kind of dance, but that's okay.
That's how that starts
I'm
off.
an entertainer.
Yeah, I'm an entertainer.
For a very large fee, and I will do it a personal
Yes.
show.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you like to do on the weekends then?
Well, I'm not really a big bar guy, actually, to be honest. I met Scott Passmore, actually, one of my best friends from Good Morning. And we went there and went to the roof for the first time. That's the only time I've been on the roof there. Not bad, but
But you
I
don't
like
have
a
to
good,
drink and party.
I like
go
a
out.
nice restaurant.
Yeah.
And although restaurants are getting so ridiculously expensive now too, but just a good conversation and a comfortable atmosphere. I love going to Sedona. My friend Lisa Dahl and Mary
Lisa.
Posa and Dahl and DeLuca.
Yeah.
And
I have known Lisa Dahl since I got married to my husband because his mom was like a mother to Lisa.
Really.
Mm-hmm.
She moved from
Found
San
it.
Francisco.
Her son was murdered.
Son was murdered when he was 15, trying to break up looked like a gang initiation or something, and she worked through her grief by
Horrible.
starting Dahl and DeLuca about 27 years ago, and they have at least 40% of all the restaurant
Yeah,
business in
it's incredible.
Sedona. But most importantly, she was the first female Arizona Chef of the Year, and she's just raised the standards. I think not only in Sedona but in the state.
So does she get involved in your fundraisers as well?
She hasn't yet, but during COVID, I would go up and we'd sit about 10 feet apart from each other at the Butterfly Burger, and we'd talk. And then I went to Mary Posa, met her outside. She kept it closed probably a month later than most people did, but she was still featured in USA Today and LA Times because she's a sort of Lives of the Rich and Famous destination place.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
she's
she
great.
needs to be donating dinners.
She
and
should.
All. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you, Lisa.
We're gonna get you.
I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse.
Well, here's actually kind of a funny story. So when my father-in-law passed away, which was a month after we got married, my mother-in-law, Pat, who literally, Lisa was like her daughter, she said, she's in Sedona, she said, can you pick out a vase or urn for Ed's ashes? And so she brings home, you know, it's Sedona. So it's like, and it was my mother-in-law's taste. She knew what my mother-in-law would like. It was like this purpley, like sandstone, like purple and blue. It looked like a sky, right, with a pelican on the top, like this very delicate, you know, little skinny like pelican, right? And like purples and blues and okay. So Pat kept Ed in her house, and then she got remarried.
And Ed was still there.
Ed was still there, and so she
Ed's
says,
gotta go.
She says to my husband, she said, I can't keep Ed because it's just weird, you know, married. And so my house is like old world Tuscan. It's like dark and brown and brocade. And now I've got this blue and purple pelican. I'm like, where the fuck am I putting this? This doesn't go anywhere in my house. But it's Ed. And we can't get rid of Ed. So, and I'm definitely not.
Ed's still there?
Ed's in the vase.
Ed!
I know.
Let's take Ed to like San Diego to...
Yeah.
All right,
You
so
know.
the story continues. So I put Ed in our laundry room. I kind of tucked it back.
Oh, that's not fair
No,
either.
no, it was very fair. I'll tell you why. Because I had three little kids. I did
And I
so
noticed
much.
when I sprinkled a few of his ashes in the washer,
Yeah,
kids
tight.
came out even cleaner.
That's right.
No. So listen, I spent so much time in my laundry room. I had three little kids. I spent a lot of time in there. It was a very big laundry room. He didn't feel claustrophobic or anything. So he was kind of in the corner. So his thing was fine. So he lived there for a very long time. And I actually did talk to him. I talked to him all the time. Every time I walked in there, I was like, hey, Ed, how you doing? I was the only one that talked to Ed. I just want you to know I was a very good daughter-in-law. So my mom finally is like, Julie, like, this is ridiculous. What are you going to do with Ed? My kids never knew him. He passed away a month after we got married. So my kids didn't know him. My husband didn't care. My mother-in-law didn't want him. My mom goes, you know what's going to happen. You know, you guys are going to pass away, and nobody's going to want Ed. Nobody knows who Ed is. So I kept putting the bug in my husband's ear. I'm like, you got to do something with Ed. Like, scatter him somewhere.
Yes.
So he decides to break Ed up into 4 baggies for all the 4 boys in the family.
Sounds like, you know.
Yeah, it sounds like a
scattering.
drug deal.
Well, sounds like,
So what happened?
So the one brother got it and goes, I don't want this, and gave it back to Kent. And then the other 2 brothers, I don't know, took it and did whatever they wanted with it, and Kent went off and did whatever he wanted with it.
you know what I would have done?
What?
I would have gotten in a plane and flown over somewhere that I cared about.
Yeah. And sprinkled it. Yeah.
That last scene with George Clooney in Hawaii, where Descendants, where they sprinkle his wife's ashes in the water. It's just so moving.
Yeah.
And the family has been fighting each other, and guilt, etc., comes together. That's beautiful. So I would have done something along those lines.
Are you going to be buried or cremated?
Cremated.
Me too.
I don't want to just sit there.
No, and like the worms crawling. No, thanks.
But I'm gonna have my big tomb with my cars and my watches.
There's going to be a little urn. Michael, I mean, listen. If God forbid you pass before I do,
Yeah.
I'm gonna find that vase in Sedona.
The big. I don't want that vase. I gotta be in some a little more
But
classy.
if you see Lisa Dahl, you might want to tell her that story. She'll laugh because she picked it out. She was the one that picked it out and brought it.
Really?
Yeah, she picked it out and brought
She's
it.
She's got taste.
No, and listen, she knew my mother-in-law was an artist. She knew my mother-in-law, she literally treated her as her daughter. So, anyhow, the story. So I haven't seen Lisa in a long time, but
Oh.
my brother-in-law.
We'll take a photo. I'll send it to her and say,
Yeah.
where you
Oh, my ex-brother-in-law worked for her
been? Come
for
on,
years.
let's do it.
Oh my gosh.
Take
Here
a
we go.
photo.
I mean, we're
live.
so live.
We can do it live.
We were talking about you live, Lisa.
And the pelican
Sorry.
urn.
The pelican urn. All
I
right.
wish I had a picture of it. I should have taken a picture of it.
Here we go. Live.
All right, here we
Yeah,
go.
we need to.
Oh, but we got to do it. But This way? Should we get
No,
the...
we
I was
need
in-
the
Oh, we
light
want
that
the good
way.
light. Okay,
Yeah.
we gotta get good light. So you gotta stand over here.
Okay.
All right, Lisa, you got one coming.
Oh my God, that's so funny. She'll know who I am. Yeah, my brother-in-law worked for her for years too. You may have met him, John Zander.
Sounds familiar.
I'm sure you met him
Yeah.
because he worked for her for years.
Yeah.
Okay, see, it's such a small world, isn't it?
It is.
Oh my gosh. All right, so what's next on the homeless? Well, I know you have the event in July.
Yes.
Alzheimer's, what's going on
Our
with
next
that?
one after that will probably be in early September, and then we'll do one on Thanksgiving. But you know what I also want to do is help move forward the conversation about mini homes and small communities
For the homeless?
for the homeless.
Oh, I love that.
As an example of why California has been so incredibly bad and inept in handling the homeless situation. They spent $300 million on
On the hotels.
an apartment building
Yeah.
for 900 people. That's $300,000 per person. You could buy a mini home for $30,000.
Yeah.
The person owns it. They believe it's theirs. They take better care of it.
Of
And I
course.
think, obviously there's a learning curve there for everybody. Who's coming from different places. Some have very severe mental health.
Yeah,
So you have to make sure somebody
that's part of the
appreciates what
problem.
it is. They bring in, UMOM has a great model for that, by the way. Another institution that helps
For
women
homeless
coming
people.
from domestic violence situations. But I think we need to think about those things, because just kicking people out from downtown, where do they go?
So
Where do they go?
what is the key here though? Because throwing money at homeless people, if you're not helping their mental situation,
Right, it is helping their mental situation. It's working on that, helping them, dialoguing with them for their particular challenges. St. Vincent de Paul does quite a bit of that, and that's why a good percentage of the people that were offered a place to stay did take it, because a lot of homeless people are determined. No one's going to tell them what to do.
That's true.
They've got different levels of trauma and abuse.
And what about
that's a
working
good
with like
sign.
alcoholism? Is there any
Alcoholism
any kind
and
of,
what I call situational mental illness, which if Mike and I were
Bless you.
we were living on the street for 6 months, we'd be pretty screwed up.
Well, that
probably
you know
for,
what? That's
you know,
right.
At least
That's
temporarily.
Well, right, because it's a vicious cycle. You're depressed, so you don't do well trying to get a job, so you're more depressed, so you're deeper in the hole, so you're.
And you maybe treat people that look at it as a transactional relationship. They give you something, but there's no humanity in that, and so you forget that you are human, and you're looked at as a, just as a bum, literally.
Wow, huge problem.
Do you work with Andre House at all? I do a lot of stuff with Andre House.
I not really. Most of the
Yeah.
time I spent with
St.
St. Vincent
Vincent
de Paul,
de Paul.
but I spoke at Cass a few years ago, and but for every one person, here's some quick statistics. For every one person that is leaving homelessness, 2 are entering.
Wow.
And last year we had a record number of evictions, 91,000 evictions in Maricopa County, which translates to somewhere between 225,000 and 250,000 people who were at least temporarily desperate and homeless last year.
And what about
That's our economy.
and what
Economy
about
is
the
not so great.
Right, and what about the economy now? What are people saying?
It's worse.
I know. So
Right.
What are they? What
That's
are they
why the
forecasting
evictions. Well,
this year?
right now, gas is 50% higher. Groceries are 25-30% higher.
Target says they're reducing the price on a lot of their foods.
And that's awesome. And so a lot of people were already within two checks,
of being
two
homeless.
paychecks of being evicted or being homeless. So you can say, hey, that's not me, but why not be leaders and say, well, it's an issue. How can we make this a community where we think about those people and how they have a place, and give them a chance to use their God-given gifts.
Okay, here's one last question. When you see a guy standing at the stoplight with a sign up, do you give them money?
Always.
Tell me why.
When they
Because I've heard about the people that stand on the corner getting the money and then they get in their Mercedes and they drive away.
You know what? If that's the case, if I see it, then I wouldn't do it. But with that person, but to me, it's also just honoring people that are going through tough times, and so I'm lucky enough to be able to help.
Vincent de Paul? So aren't these places available to them? Should they be there rather than standing on the street corner? I don't know. I'm just asking that.
You asked me a question and I answered it. Absolutely, I do, and it's just my choice.
But the second question is.
But it's also not just giving them money. I looked them right in the eye and said, "God bless you. You be good to yourself today," and that's incredibly important. And for some, it may not mean anything because it's just a scam. But I think most it's not a scam. They're not in a good place.
But should they be at a place like
They
Vincent
could,
de Paul
and that's
versus,
where the
like, why
outreach
are
is
they-
important. But how do you get somebody that doesn't want anybody to tell them what to do? You know, so it's just a complex thing. And we
Because
like to
if
think.
they get to Vincent de Paul, then are they completely taken care of? Or no, they're still...
No, they're provided a place to take a shower. They're provided the access to resources
And food?
and food.
Yep.
But still, we
Because when I see a family on a street corner,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, why wouldn't you go to safety at like Vincent de Paul?
maybe you don't know, or maybe you had an experience at another place that was terrible, you know. So maybe also you're afraid that the abuser is going to be there, and he's homeless too. So it's just, you know, there. But for the grace of God, go us. We have to. I just keep an open mind and say, hey, I'm putting out good energy into you. You know, call it angel dust, and I hope it helps.
Is it better? I hear a lot of people put like emergency kits like in their car. So when instead of giving cash, like here's socks, a toothbrush,
That's
toothpaste,
good. That's
a
good.
power bar.
Granola
good.
bars,
Right.
water bottles.
Right, like
Yeah,
that's one of the
that's
things
good.
they say that you could do. Because
course.
if somebody's really going to go just drink
That's
your
their
money
choice.
away,
That's their choice. Yeah, that's a good choice. Yeah.
At least you're doing something.
you're doing
Yeah.
something that
You put some real thought into it. Actually, I think
Yeah.
it's really good. But
I actually think that's a really good idea.
yeah, but I'll offer this to you too. Working with, I hosted one of the first town halls on veteran suicide. It's not 22 suicides; it's closer to 30. We had the Arizona Coalition for Military Families. It was at the Franciscan Renewal Center. But the VA is still caught up in that old notion that I sit at my desk and I have my tasks and I send my emails and I make my phone calls. To address what you're talking about, you've got to leave the what I call fat ass syndrome of sitting at a desk. You've got to leave your desk and go out there and find the homeless person, or in this case 40% of the homeless, by the way, at St. Vincent de Paul, 30 to 40% are veterans. And you find them and you help them see that what is available already exists and it works to the point where emotionally, not just intellectually, they're like, yeah, that's going to help me. But if you don't go to them where they are, knock on their door, break down their door if you have to, like my friend Tim Story did with Smokey Robinson, who was 20 years ago killing himself with drugs, you'll never reach those people. So that takes heart. Then it becomes a mission, not just a job.
That's a good point.
That takes a lot of people, a lot of money, and a lot of time.
Yeah, yep.
A lot of hearts.
Whew. All right, where can they find you? How can they get involved?
NickLowery.com. You can find me on Facebook, on Instagram, NickLowery88. We have a lot of fun stuff on there, and I actually found pictures from the Berlin Wall, where I was born in Germany because my dad was CIA in Germany. So when the Berlin Wall came down, we played in the first NFL game in Germany.
Cool.
So you can find some fun stories on there, or at Nick Lowery, Nick the Kick on Facebook or LinkedIn, and then NickLowery.com or NickLowery.org. And come to Champions for the Homeless. You can go to the donate page. If you make a $300 donation, you get a beautiful bling bling Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl champion necklace.
Of course.
Which is a write-off. And that $300 pays for a ton of T-shirts and underwear. And it's just a beautiful thing. I mean, when you surround yourself with good people, you guys are good people.
Aw.
But when you do, right, it brings out the better parts of you. And that's the art form. And so when you're at an event like this, you meet so many good people. And a lot of people that have been retired said, you know, I was missing something. And now I know what it was. I was retired, but I had all this wisdom and experience and insight. And I wasn't doing anything
if
with
you're
it.
retired out there and you're just not doing something that's positive.
St. Vincent de Paul, 10th Avenue in
Yeah.
Jackson. And find me on Facebook, and I'll get back right to you.
I love that. That's so much fun. Okay, and you stood the whole time.
I did
did.
sit down once.
Alzheimer's treatment centers also, if anybody's interested, because everybody I talk to knows somebody who has dementia.
Oh,
or
for
Alzheimer's
sure,
or
for sure.
a
I'm
parent.
gonna make sure to get all of your links. I will post it all on this. And really, the nicest guy, and you've always been. He's in touch with everybody. He knows everybody. He'll get you in touch with whoever. So, anyways, and Sam Fox, you guys need to meet. Like, I can't believe you haven't met.
Sam is a genius. I'd
Yeah,
love to
he
meet
is. I agree. I would too. We'll get a dinner for the four of us. We'll see you at Global.
you. Go Chiefs!
Go Chiefs.
Third Super Bowl in a row coming up. I know. Sorry, but it's just the way it is.
Is it really?
Yep.
Gonna happen?
Yep.
You're sure?
Yeah, I called it. I called actually that we would win the last one like 6 weeks before it happened, when we really hadn't had a very good year at that point.
There you go. You said it.
All
Karnak.
T, it's all T
Karnak.
Swifty. T Swifty.
Yeah.
Is that what it is? All right. Do we need another?
Yeah, Taylor Swift will be playing a tight end on the other side.